Thank you.
We have the pleasure of welcoming Frederick Schwarz, Senior Counsel at the very well-known Brennan Center in New York. Before heading that up, he was a partner at Cravath et al. He was also once Chief Counsel to the Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activity, and he chaired the commission that revised New York City's charter. We welcome you this afternoon to our proceedings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That committee was known as the Church Committee, which several of the other witnesses have made reference to. I've covered details of what has gone wrong elsewhere in my written testimony and in my book, Unchecked and Unbalanced. I'd just like to summarize what I think is the largest problem, which is that in our efforts to protect ourselves, we've made the mistake of adopting tactics of the enemy. The most important mistake has been with respect to torture. And waterboarding, by the way, we prosecuted Japanese soldiers for using it against Americans. And we have abandoned the rule of law and slipped away from checks and balances, and those all have created a serious constitutional problem. The Vice President 20 years ago said we should have monarchical powers for the presidency, and I believe that's his view today. The consequence of what we have done is that America has been made not only less free, but also less safe. And just to illustrate that with some examples, by abandoning our values and choosing instead to adopt some tactics of our vicious enemies, we've given enemy recruiters powerful tools to stir up passions in the Muslim world. Those tactics have also undermined necessary cooperation from our closest allies. Colin Powell said in a letter to John McCain just 2 years ago, quotes, "The world is beginning to doubt the moral basis of our fight against terrorism," and that's a terrible loss. After the rush of support and emotional bonding with America immediately after 9/11, we are met with disappointment, caution, and resistance from even our closest allies. For example, the British now refuse to cooperate with us on lots of intelligence matters because they fear there will be use in rendition. Now, the full story needs to be told, and the full story of the consequences of what has been done needs to be told. I recommend, therefore, something different than what's been heard today. I recommend that the Congress and the new President sign a bill that sets up an independent, nonpartisan, and bipartisan investigatory commission that will look at what's been done wrong, look at what's been done right, and recommend remedies for things that have been done wrong. I don't recommend impeachment because I believe it is too late. That could have been considered earlier. I think it's too late now, and the timing now would make it not only impossible to have a mature and responsible and detailed investigation, but the timing would also make such an investigation more partisan than it ought to be. We need to know from an investigation the full truth so we do not repeat mistakes. We need to know the full truth to produce accountability for those that have committed wrongdoing. And we need to know the full truth because to produce the truth begins to restore America's moral luster, which is a great part of our strength. Now, you could say that putting out the full truth will embarrass the country. That's been said before. It might embarrass people. But the great strength of America is to remain a people who confront our mistakes and resolve not to repeat them. If we do not do that, we will decline. But if we do confront our mistakes, our future will be worthy of the best of our past. Now, let me just conclude with these thoughts. The first thing is we must remember that the conduct that has undermined our values and sapped our strength arose in the context of seeking to protect the country from further attacks. But, as Justice Louis Brandeis warned in a somewhat different context, at times the greatest dangers to liberty lurk in insidious encroachment by men of zeal, well-meaning but without understanding. These issues transcend partisanship. They are far more important than the controversies that divide us. Indeed, to fully understand these issues should bring all Americans together. The development of novel and erroneous constitutional theories has, in my view, led to conduct that is contrary to American values and that's actually made us less safe. Now, again, there are some words that the Church Committee uttered 32 years ago, that are no less true today than they were 3 decades ago. The United States must not adopt the tactics of the enemy. Means are as important as ends. Crisis always makes it tempting to ignore the wise restraints that make us free. But each time we do so, each time the means we use are wrong, our inner strength, the strength which makes us free, is lessened. Now, I believe that with a sober investigation into what has been done, both what has gone wrong and what has gone right, we can actually bring our country together, and that we can show that when properly respected, our constitutional structure and our core fundamental values can, as they have for so many years, provide the people of this country and of the world the hope for a better, fuller, fairer life. Thank you.